pumpkin? I swear, it's not what it looks like. Welcome to The Kid at the Back. The game recently got a rewrite with new scenes, lore, and characters that look like they came straight out of the Powerpuff Girls Z. But yeah, we'll be going over one of the routes today, and no spoilers, but I think we'll be able to smooch Crowe today. Here are your disclaimers, now please enjoy. It was many and many a year ago, in a kingdom by the sea, that a maiden there lived whom you may know by the name of Annabelle Lee. Day 1, the beloved. And class dismissed. By our next meeting, I need a full report on everyone's poem that they have chosen. I will not accept one paragraph. I need 2 whole pages filled with words. Everyone got that? The classroom broke into a series of "Yes, Professor," while some spared no time in packing their things, eager to be dismissed and disregarding the teacher altogether. Your literature teacher packs up her own things and exits the classroom. The moment your literature teacher left, the classroom broke into small groups as each student gathered up to meet with their respective cliques. Some engaged in conversation, while some spared no time in exiting the classroom. A yawn escaped your lips. You turn your head and observe the clouds outside. The clouds are shaded in dark gray. The sky's once blue color is now turning the same lighter shade of gray. The looming threat of rain made you click your tongue in irritation. Just my luck. I didn't bother to bring an umbrella too. Standing up from your seat, you were about to grab your bag when you felt a tap on your shoulder. Turning around, you came face to face with cobalt blue eyes, her blonde hair shaped like swirls, and its ends dyed in blue and pink, complementing her entire ensemble, even if it's just a white button-up that clearly looks too small for her. Hot pink jacket tied around her waist, and the school's black skirt. Her hand, which you assumed was the same one that tapped your shoulder, hung up in the air. She seemed unsure whether to continue or not, judging from the way her eyebrows furrowed downward while biting her glossed lower lip. She turned slightly, her head not fixed on you, but rather on whoever is behind her. You hear her whisper something under her breath before eventually composing herself and turning her focus solely on you now. Hey, you're going to lunch with us, right? I mean, you should. I don't usually see you in the cafeteria often, so you must not be eating properly. How can you keep up with classes looking like that? Excuse me? You took a step back, clenching the strap of your bag as you glare at the blonde woman before you. Who was this woman? Who does she think she is? Judging from the woman's expression, she finally came to realize the words that came out of her mouth. Brittany! A familiar voice interrupted the two of you. You turned your head to where the voice was, and there stood none other than your old friend. Oh, it's Crowe. That's really insensitive of you. Imagine if someone else told you about how you look. His familiar orbs are of azure blue, nearly replicating lapis lazuli's, and his chocolate brown hair tied loosely in a low braid. Sun-kissed skin enhanced his handsome features, adorned with a black, long-sleeved button-up and an indigo vest to add to his clean look. He is known as Jericho Ichabod, Crowe for short, the class representative and a close friend of yours. Well, the only close friend you have. Crowe made his way over to your side, with a hand on his hip. He reprimands the blonde-haired woman next to you, and the said woman just shrugged her shoulders. You placed a hand over your beating heart. The close proximity between you two caused a blush to appear on your cheeks. No matter how many times you get close to him, or him getting near you, you'll never get used to it. His whole aura just gives a warm feeling in you, the butterflies in your stomach thrashing and raging, begging to be released. Yeah, you may have a bit of a crush on him. The woman named Brittany just rolled her eyes, seemingly used to Crowe's reprimands. Well, you're the one who insisted on me initiating talk. You could have done it more nicely, you know. Like a simple invite alone. Crowe gives you a small smile while handing out something to you. You look down to see it. It was your idea. You dropped this, by the way. Your name is Lion. My last name, Lion. The ID shows my name, Lion, along with my pronouns. Okay, I can't use the directions for this. They, them, please. You stare at your own ID picture and see yourself more, neutral. I am just a void. You use gender-neutral terms and will be called a kid person. Why would you call me a kid? You looked at your ID picture, seeing a young person and reading your name with your eyes. Name, Lion. Pronouns, they, them. Yeah, that's right. Your fingers briefly brushed against his. You bit your lip, then muttered a small thank you before pocketing your school ID. Crowe gives you a closed-eyed smile, returning his own thank you, then turning his attention back towards Brittany. Following up behind Brittany are 3 more people. The tallest of the 3 is a sporty-looking man, clad in a green and yellow jersey with the number 10 settled on front. His eyes are bright green, the color that reminds you of green apples. His skin a beautiful brown that nearly matches his curly hair, while a stubble is nestled on his chin, indicating his maturity. Also, I am so sorry for this, but now that I'm looking at him, he kind of reminds me of Eurylochus from Epic the Musical. I don't know why. The second tallest man in a purple hoodie. His eyes are sharp and slanted with long lashes, adorned with teal-colored orbs underneath. His hair is straight and styled into a hime cut, save for a short strand tied with a red ribbon and a low ponytail bound with the same shade of red behind him. He looked uninterested with what was going on at the very moment. And last but not least is the shortest of the 3, maybe within the group as well. Her skin pale, her face dotted with a few freckles then and there, as rectangular-shaped frames shield away orange orbs. Her hair is short and loose like waves. She wears a black button-up under an orange vest and a black skirt matching Brittany's. Damn, Britt. You sure are bad at socializing. Hey, Gio. Seems like you have competition. The tall jock, clad in yellow and green sports jersey, lets out a loud laugh, causing some students to turn to look at him. Brittany's face grew red from embarrassment, gritting her teeth. She crossed her arms while tapping her foot on the ground. This only made the jock laugh even harder. Shut the fuck up, Daryl. You're causing a scene. Also, if you were me, you would have done just as badly. That is, in fact, not true. I'm a lovable guy. Oh, yeah? As the 2 argue, you turn your head towards the other tall male in a hoodie. Sensing your gaze, he looks down at you, his hand still in his hoodie's pocket. A sudden chill went down your spine. You quickly averted your gaze away from the imposing male and landing on the meek girl in orange right beside Brittany. She hasn't spoken since she arrived with the 2 males, but judging from how attached she is to Brittany, you're guessing she's closer with her than the rest of the group. She kinda reminds you of yourself when you were still new to the school with no one to talk to. Not until Crowe befriended you, of course. Were you as clingy to Crowe back then as she is with Brittany now? Sorry, they're kind of a rowdy bunch, huh? I hope you're not too overwhelmed. They sure are. Look, Lion, you're still free not to join us for lunch if you're uncomfortable. Meeting new people is overwhelming. I just want to let you know that I respect your feelings and that you matter, Lion. Crowe reassures you with a worried smile on his lips. You turn back to the group, the tall jock named Daryl now bothering Gio with an arm around his shoulder. The visible irritation on Gio's face did nothing to sway Daryl's happy-go-lucky personality. Brittany leans on one of the desks with her arms crossed, striking a conversation with the bespectacled girl next to her. What's her name? I didn't seem to catch it last time. Crowe glanced at where you were pointing at. Jessie? You can call her Jess for short. She's best friends with Brittany. She kind of reminds me of you back when we first met. all shy and quiet. Only that you're cuter. Crowe pinched your cheek playfully and you groan, but your mock annoyance is betrayed by the small smile that formed on your lips. How time flies, huh? That's right. You got yourself acquainted with Crowe in your sophomore year. Before you left for the city, your father emphasized the importance of having companions and establishing friendships, most especially in this college. Olympias University, the largest university in Titan City. It is known for having the best facilities and the best education, where you're guaranteed to rise from the bottom to the top. Well, that's what the advertisement tells you. You tried getting to know people during your first year, but to no avail. No matter how much you tried to make friends, you just couldn't seem to bring yourself to talk to anyone. And to your dismay, no one seems to bother to even befriend you. Sure, you would talk with a few classmates for projects, but nothing goes beyond that. As if they're scared of you. Or more like disgusted. You can never tell. The looks you've received have been mixed signals. Some bad, some out of pity. That is, until Crowe came into the picture. Among everyone, Crowe was the sole person who approached you with the intention of a friendship. You were wary of him at first. Why would someone want to befriend you out of nowhere? Your past experiences caused you suspicion. You've had a history with people who tried to earn your good graces because you were somehow beneficial to them. You thought Crowe would be the same case, so you ignored him. But then he kept following you, trying to strike a conversation with you every now and then. You tried to dismiss him, ignoring his presence as usual, but Crowe was determined to break down your walls and kept insisting on tagging along until it annoyed you once. Just once. That is, until it happened on the last day of your first semester in your sophomore year. You fell victim to one of the school's biggest hidden flaws. If Crowe wasn't there to stop them, you could not begin to imagine what might have happened to you. Thank goodness you're unharmed. You're concerned about me. Wait, how about you? You're the one who's hurt. Thinking back, you thought he was crazy and stupid. Taking blow after blow until the perpetrators got bored and left the both of you. Well, that's the whole point, right? As long as you're not hurt, this is nothing. You're crazy, you know that? And he just laughs it off, wincing due to the bruises on his face. I never got your name, crazy person. It's Jericho. But you could just call me Crowe. Nice to meet you, Crowe. I'm Lion. You brought him to the clinic that day and became inseparable ever since. Right after the incident, Crowe promised to never get in fights again and continues to keep his word on it. You really owe it to him. You look back up at Crowe. He tilts his head. Something on your mind, Lion? Nothing. Just happy that you're my friend. Yeah? He looked at you with raised eyebrows, probably surprised at how random your thoughts seem. He didn't say anything as he let your words sink in, and his usual gentle smile appeared on his face. Crowe inched closer to you, indicating that he feels the same way. Brittany must have taken notice of the amount of time wasted in talking and arguing as she turns to you one last time. We've talked a bit too much. We'll end up not getting any seats if we keep this up. So, you coming with us or not? Caught up in your little daydream about the past, Brittany finally spoke up, catching your attention. You look back at Crowe, recalling his words. Don't force yourself to join if you're still uncomfortable. You then decide to. This is going to be important, isn't it? Okay, I'm gonna make a save, and we will go with. I will go with them. With them is a good idea. With them, yeah. Brittany hummed a sound of content before turning her heel and heading towards the classroom's exit, her three other friends following behind her. Crowe looks back at you by the door, waiting for you. Catching up, you raise your head to meet his azure orbs once more. Your heartbeat quickens within your ribcage in response. Oi, you two! Stop ogling at each other and hurry up! Brittany's exclamation made the both of you jump. You merely look down, using your hair as a curtain to hide your reddened face, Crowe just rubbed the back of his neck. You two eventually follow behind Brittany and the rest of the group towards the cafeteria. The cafeteria is loud and crowded. Tables are filled with students while the rest are lined up by the counter, grabbing their lunches. A groan escaped Brittany's lips as she looks around for any sign of a vacant table you could all share. What a great time to not bring lunch, huh? Next time, I'm preparing my lunch the night before. I wonder why it's so crowded today. Your lunch menu, perhaps? Seems like it. We'll be left with nothing else if we keep standing around here and loitering. Hey, Gio, Daryl. Yeah? What is it, your royal majesty? Daryl cooed with a teasing tone. Brittany rolled her eyes at his silly gesture. Could you two look for a vacant spot while the rest of us line up? Saves us time that way. Yeah, sure, Britt. Let's go, Gio. Wrapping an arm around Gio's shoulder, while ignoring his obvious irritation from the set meal, the two walked away in hopes of looking for an unoccupied table. Brittany then turns to you. Oh, right, Lion. I'm not sure if you have packed anything like those two did, but if you want to line up with us or go help them find a table, make a choice. You decided that I don't know. Oh, man. I mean, I guess I would have brought my own lunch. Yeah. Oh, that's good. Well, you go join those two goons and wait for us, all right? Brittany gives you a nod and waves you off. Turning on her heel, she quickly makes her way to the line with Jess following behind her. You want me to get you anything, Lion? Nah, it's fine. You won't get anything for yourself if you keep idling by. Crowe's shoulders shook at your statement, letting out a soft and hearty chuckle as a smile made its way up his handsome features. He turns around, giving you a wave, then follows behind the two girls, hoping to make it to the line with them. Yes, for you made your way to where Gio and Daryl were. It seems that they have managed to find a vacant spot as you saw them currently seated on a round table, merely cleaning up after the group of students who previously occupied the space. And they did bother cleaning it up? Jesus! Once seated, the two boys took out what seemed to be their individual packed lunches. Before Gio is a very intricate bento box. The contents inside look as expensive looking as its container, whereas Daryl only has 3 sandwiches he took out from his paper bag. Your food looks so good, Gio. I bet they taste just as good too. Mind if I... No. Gio said with a flat tone, slapping the jock's hand away from his bento box. Daryl pouted, rubbing his hand before returning with his own sandwich. As he sat down across the two boys, Gio kept his eyes on you for quite a while, his gaze unwavering as he chewed on his lunch. What's up with this guy sizing you up? You and Gio stared at each other for a good and uncomfortable minute. Just as you were about to open your mouth to ask what this guy's deal is, Daryl's eyes went wide as he finally took notice of your presence in the table. Yo, right. Lion, right? What you bring for lunch? I mean, if you don't mind sharing, that is. Sharing what food I have or sharing the food itself? Why not both? As long as you're willing to share. Unlike this guy over here. Gio only rolled his eyes when the jock nudged his shoulder. Don't bother with Daryl. He'll take your food even if you don't give him any. Hey now, not that cruel. Say that to Brittany's lunch that you took yesterday. Jess was kind enough to give her lunch to compensate. I was hungry. Not my fault coach had to make me do 3 laps around the field. Well, the two bicker on like children. You let out a small chuckle, eating the sandwich you took out from your own container. Maybe these guys aren't so bad as you thought they might be. Then, in the corner of your eye, you notice Brittany's familiar wavy blonde hair making her way over to your table. In tow is none other than Jess and Crowe, each with their own trays of food. Move your ass aside, Daryl. I'm setting that... Who did this to my girl? Who did this to Brittany? I don't care who you are or how big you are, but I am going to find you, and I am going to make you pay. A loud gasp escaped Brittany's lips, her mouth open in wide shock. The food on her tray is now splattered across her white uniform. Brittany! Oops, sorry about that. Should have watched where you're going there. Oh, it's the Powerpuff Girls! Multiple footsteps came near. A trio of girls showed themselves before you. The tallest of the bunch, the red-haired one, placed a hand over where her heart is and lets out a mocking gasp at the mess. Brittany's eyes met with the red-haired bully. Judging from the way Brittany's face twisted with rage, they seemed to know each other. Britt, are you alright? We should get yourself cleaned. You freaking bitch! This is my only clean uniform! How dare you! Oh, look at Miss Claire all flared up. Careful there, sweetie, you'll get wrinkles. It's not like you're not ugly already. The mean girl coos at Brittany. Her two friends behind her laughs along with her antics. You've got a bad feeling about this. The entire cafeteria breaks in a few murmurs and whispers, their attention now fixated on the group of girls. Some stopped eating, while some took out their phones, ready to film whatever happens next. Crowe tried to come in between them to stop the fight, but he wasn't fast enough. Splat! Next thing we knew, another loud gasp was heard. A wide smile etched itself on Brittany's face. The mean girl's white uniform now smeared with a variety of wet sauces and oils, matching Brittany's own dirtied uniform. Jess's face filled with shock. The food from a tray is now gone! No, Jess! Take that, shit stain! You freaking bitch! Food fight! The moment Daryl howled those words, the cafeteria went into a hectic frenzy. Food and drinks started flying across the area as each student started tossing whatever they could get their hands on. Are those trays? Ah! Lion! Everyone stop this madness at once! The sun wave of pain made its way to your head. The last thing you saw was Crowe calling out your name before passing out. Where am I? Oh, you're awake. Thank goodness. Crowe? You tried to sit up, but a sudden shot of pain went through your head, stopped you. You reached out to touch where the ache was coming from, but Crowe stopped you by holding on to your wrist. Careful now. The nurse already bandaged your head. Don't push yourself. Crowe gently pushed you back down onto the medical bed. He takes a lone stool and takes a seat right next to you. What happened? Well, after Daryl started that mess of a food fight, the principal was called in to stop it. Daryl was lucky enough to escape when he did. Gio was nowhere to be seen, as always. As for Brittany, what about her? Well, Jess helped her grab a new uniform from the principal's office. Then why does my head hurt so much? Someone somehow threw a tray and you were unfortunate enough to get hit by it. Thankfully, I got you out of there before things got ugly. Thanks, Crowe. I owe you one. I'm always there for you, Lion. Never forget that. Anyway, it's around 1:45 in the afternoon right now. I should probably head to my next class. You should stay here until the nurse gets back. You'll be alright alone here, right? You wanted to say no, but you stopped yourself before you could. Yeah, sure, you can go on ahead. You sure? Yeah, I'll be fine, Crowe. You've done enough for me today. You gave him a small smile, but he did not return it. Crowe squeezes your hand. He's quite hesitant to let you go. Eventually, he loosened his grip. He stands up from his chair and walks towards the exit. But before he could leave, he turned around and gave you one last smile, eventually closing the door and going out of the infirmary. You groaned and laid back down on the bed, feeling the bandage on your head. At least the pain is slowly dying a bit. Hope it didn't leave a mark on my head. You're guessing you came face to face with the edges of one of those metallic trays. Since when did trays hurt that much? Then again, there were athletes in the area, Daryl being one of them. Just then, you heard the door opening, the nurse's voice echoing through the room as the clicking of her heels got louder as she drew closer. The school nurse entered, and following her was a tall student dressed in black. He seemed to be holding on to his left hand. You could see red streaks of blood overflowing. That looks bad. You sure had it worse than me. Wonder what happened. You should be thankful you didn't cut a vein. How were they able to get past with that pocket knife in the first place? The nurse sighed. It seems like she got her hands full with another student. The latter, however, didn't say anything, as he let out a small hiss when the nurse dabbed some disinfectant on his wound. You sat up slowly, careful to not hit your head on anything else before stealing a glance at the student and the nurse. Your eyes meet, with reddish-orange ones. Your heart raced, as you feel your heartbeat quicken. What an unusual color. They remind me of the setting sun. The nurse finishes up wrapping around his wound, a blotch of red slowly seeping out and staining the once white bandage. However, his gaze is still fixated on you. The nurse follows his line of sight and finally takes notice of your conscious figure. You're finally awake. She approached you with a bottle of painkiller she took from one of the transparent cabinets on the walls before handing a pill to you. How are you feeling, dear? Does your head still hurt? It's slowly dissipating, ma'am. Thank you. She hands you the pill and you take it down your throat. You're free to stay here for a while longer, Lion, but you need to return to your class as soon as you're feeling better. You gave the nurse a nod. She, in return, hums in approval before going back to the taller male in black. As for you, Mr. Brockmansia, if ever your bandage gets dirty throughout the day, don't hesitate to come back here, and I'll reapply it with a new roll. The taller male hummed. He turned on his heel and made his way towards the exit door before pausing. I'll return to my class now. Thanks for patching me up, nurse. The tall student gave you one last look with his fiery red eyes before making his exit with a click of the door. The nurse lets out a sigh, rubbing her temples, feeling a headache surfacing. I swear, that child comes here every other day. Huh? Him? Oh, you're not classmates with Mr. Brockmansia? Odd. I thought he might know you from the way he was looking at you. No, I haven't seen him around. More like you never bothered to look around, since no one would even bother to spare a glance at you. Well, either way, don't get into too much trouble like him, alright? That raises a question in your head. Just how bad were the guy's injuries that he comes to the nurse's office almost every other day? It kind of explains why she's been sighing hard ever since she brought the tall male into her office. With an injury as bad as a near stab wound on the palm, you could only take a wild guess. And as much as you are curious to know what transpired, you're nearly late for your next class. Eyeing the clock on top of the doorframe, you got out of the medical bed. You thanked the nurse and made your way out of her office. Barely making it to your next class, you slit the classroom door open, earning you a few looks from the students inside the room. Turning to the podium, you exhaled a breath you didn't realize you were holding when you realized that your teacher was still absent. Fixing your composure, you scanned the room. A few easels and shelves filled with brushes and bottles, stained with acrylic paint, guaranteed that you made it to the right class. You make your way to your seat. Once settled down, you groaned, placing your elbows on the desk and resting your chin on top of your hands, waiting patiently for your professor's arrival. Though you couldn't help but notice the feeling of someone staring at you. You shook it off, thinking that must have been the lack of sleep. You look out of the window. Maybe it's the cold weather. Hearing the classroom door open, your art professor makes his way inside, his large round belly standing out, round spectacles sitting on top of his nose, and a stereotypical brown beret on his head. He greets the class before starting his lecture. Art exhibit project featuring various eras of art as part of our thesis. This time we are tasked with expressionism. Remember, this is all part of your paper, and not to mention, making a name for yourself, of course. More like taking the credit of a student's work and using it to advertise your shitty school. You scoffed at the thought. Hope you all got your partner already by then. For this term, I'm tasking you all to create 3 works based on the exhibit's theme. This is where you want to throw your desk out the window. How could you forget? You weren't present during the previous meeting and you absolutely knew no one in this specific class. Why were you taking art again? Oh, right, your father was an artist as he was a farmer. It was all for him. Maybe you could make a name for yourself with your work, if ever your life as a gardener wouldn't turn out the way it should. All part of Plan B, and if that fails, I got Plan C and D and nothing beyond that because I ain't got no foresight. Now to make up the rest. Or guess I'll die. You shake away your silly thoughts. The problem is now at hand. You do not have a partner to work with. Now, I want all of you to go to your chosen partner for this project so I can start explaining your task. Eventually, you will force out of your seat since your seatmate's partner will be occupying it for the class. You curse at yourself. You could only hope you're not the only student who didn't get their own partner for this class. But upon looking around, it seems like everyone is calm and collected. Were you the only one panicking here? Unlike the rest of the class scurrying around to meet their partner, you were the only fool who was standing still. Note on the only one standing because from the corner of the classroom, there is a single student not bothering to stand up from their seat. Their seatmate had left to pair with someone else, leaving a vacant spot. It's that guy from the clinic. I never knew he's in the same class as me. Is he not going to bother with his partner? Unless, hey there! He looks up from his desk and looks at your approaching form before you're eventually standing next to him. It's you. Seems like you're a bit lost there. Do you have a partner? No. Well, just your luck then. Me neither. So, do you want to be partners? Sure, why not? You took the vacant seat right beside him, his book now tucked away, and on his desk is now a pen and a piece of paper, seemingly ready to take notes. Hey, never got to know your name. It's not important. Well, I should at least know what to call you instead of Green Street Guy. He raised a brow at your silly nickname you gave him before slightly shaking his head. Sullivan Brugmansia. But just call me Saul. Saul, God damn, I forgot I need to use my mouse. Your name contradicts with your whole glam, not gonna lie. Saul means sun and brightness, right? Saul nods, rubbing the back of his head. You can say that. My mother gave me that name. It's a lovely name. Thanks. Well, I'm Lion. Nice to finally meet you, Saul. Saul nods with a smile forming on his lips, then returning his attention back to the professor. 3 artworks to showcase. Note, it has to be some form of expressionism. Mediums will be strictly traditional. Your professor then proceeds to give pointers for your project before leaving you and the rest of the class for the day. Everyone in the classroom proceeds to talk with their partners, already brainstorming ideas on what they're going to showcase and hopefully could get a high grade. You turn to Saul as he took out his own charcoal pencil and a sketch pad for the class. You got any plans for our first display, Saul? Expressionism is about conveying one's feelings, right? The easiest for now is a portrait. Let's use your face as an example. My face? He lets out a low chuckle. There, you're making a cute expression right now. That can be considered as expressionism. Huh? Oh, but I have this bandage on my face. Wouldn't that hinder the process? To recall the events that happened back at the cafeteria. I could simply ignore it. Or make something better out of it. Trust the process. He seems like he already has an idea on what to do. And judging from that half-built sketchbook of his, he's quite familiar with the concept of art. Me, however... I'm not good at all. I am not good. I'm sure you're fine. Everyone starts somewhere. Plus, I can't really judge you since I haven't seen your work before. Along with this damned injury on my hand. Oh, right. Let's not stress that hand anymore. Well, prepare to be amazed. That's the spirit. With newfound determination from Saul's cheering, you took out your own sketch pad and charcoal pencil as you worked with his portrait. While you're sketching up, you can't help but avert your eyes on his bandaged hand from time to time. Seems you're quite curious to know what happened to this, huh? And you weren't slick with it either. You froze when he caught you red-handed, just like the red seeping out of his hand. you stopped drawing. Sorry, that was rude of me. It's fine. This is the usual for me. I've gotten worse injuries than this. You raised a brow at that. Not the worst? If you don't mind me asking, what happened? He paused and averted his eyes, but opened up to speak. Nothing much. Was minding my own business. Got assaulted. Had to defend myself. He talked as if it was just another normal Monday for him. Your eyes furrowed. He noticed and just chuckled. No need to worry about me. All that matters is that I'm still here. You didn't say anything, however, continuing on with the drawing, your movement slow and now refusing to look at his injured hand. This school is way more screwed up than I thought it would be. The sound of the school bell rang across the classroom and through the hallway. You quickly made a few more lines on your portrait before giving up. You closed your pad and proceeded to shove it inside your backpack, earning you a confused look on your partner's face. Not even gonna show me what you've made? It's not done yet. That never bothered me. Can I see it? Wait! How about a small deal? I'll show it to you once I'm done with the portrait and you, still need to draw me once your injury gets better. Sounds like a plan? You say with a wide grin on your face, trying your best to convince the male. He stares at your face for a short moment before eventually leaning back on his chair, arms crossed, and nods along with your deal. Packing your things, you and Sol continue on to the hallway. Do you have a phone? We should exchange numbers and update each other so we can do the next two tasks. Sol then takes out his own phone and asks for your number. You recite it out as he inputs it onto his phone. Let me try to send you a message. You nodded and looked at your phone screen and saw a new notification from an unknown number. This must be Sol's. Sup. You look so different from how... You type so different from how you look. From the corner of your eyes, you see Sol's eyebrows raised at your text. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. He chuckled. He rolled his eyes. Your stare lingers on Sol's face. The smile is embedded on his handsome features, while he looks at the block of text on his phone. You bite the bottom of your lip as you recall the events that happened earlier today. Mostly meeting new people, first formally meeting Crowe's group, and now meeting Sol. Back then, you struggled to form friends throughout college, that you were convinced you'd be graduating without making a single connection, which would undoubtedly disappoint your father, and you were ready for it. You thought to yourself, these are odd people, eccentrics at most. All misunderstood people, all human, all the same. A wave of determination washed over you. With a hand on your chest, you stare into Sol's orbs, making him tilt his head slightly. Sol, I want to be friends with you. I could sense that people tend to misunderstand you and your overall personality. Sol is quiet, but his gaze remains on you with a lingering curiosity. But let me be different. I want to know you. I want to understand you, Sol. If you let me. He blinked once, then twice, then a chuckle. He puts a large hand on top of your head, then ruffles your hair. All right, then. Let's mark today as the start of our wonderful friendship, Lion. You playfully pushed his hand off your head and nudged him on the shoulder. He lets out a small laugh at your poor attempt. As to you too, Sullivan Brookmansia. Just Sol is fine, Lion. Well, I need to get going. See you tomorrow? Huh? Oh, of course. See you tomorrow. Giving Sol a wave of goodbye, you make your way towards the school's exit. My darling. My sweet, darling Lion. See you later, pumpkin. As you walk through the hallway, your eyes caught on something on the nearby bulletin board. A poster was plastered on the large board. The Hollows Ball. Come enjoy the festive spirit of Hallows Eve. A Halloween party, huh? Sounds promising. A sudden small vibration came from your pocket. Curious, you took out your phone, expecting another message from Sol. It was from Crowe. Your heart leaped from your chest, recalling the events that happened earlier this afternoon. Can you meet me after class? I'll be at the front gate. Okay, sure. You didn't send a reply. Turning off your phone, you quickly made haste to the exit. You approached the school's gate, keeping an eye out for your friend. Sure enough, there stood Crowe in all his glory, postured straight with his arms held behind his back, his bag neatly placed on the floor, and his foot tapping on the concrete floor nervously. You yourself were growing nervous with each step you took as you drew closer and closer to him. When you reached his side and made your presence known with a small greeting, you noticed the way Crowe's eyebrows raised in mild surprise, as if not expecting you to actually show up before him. He cleared his throat before composing himself properly, his body now facing in your direction. You wanted to see me? Yeah, Lifting his bag from the floor, he slings the strap over his shoulder and offers his hand for you to take. I'd like to take you somewhere. It's a bit near the park. I'll lead you if you lend me. Yeah, sure, I'll take his hand. You took his hand. In return, Crowe wraps his fingers around yours. His nervous smile melts into a genuine and happier one before he leads the both of you away from the school's gate and onto the streets. By the time you and Crowe made it to the park, it was already sundown and stars slowly start painting the sky. Is this the place you were trying to lead me to, Crowe? Not quite yet. Come on. You follow him through the thicket of thick bushes, surprised to see stony stairs. Though a bit run down, it still seemed sturdy to step foot on. Looking up, you see it leads somewhere above. You and Crowe make your way up the stony stairs, some red and orange leaves coloring the steps, as you and him avoid a few puddles from the rain this morning. We're here. Come on. It's a sight to behold. Taking one last step, you see Crowe admiring whatever was beyond him, his smile bright as his eyes twinkle like the stars above. Your eyes went wide in awe upon seeing the scenery before you, replicating the one Crowe has on his face. Not once did you take into consideration the idea of sightseeing within the city. Everything felt unfamiliar, intimidating even. You couldn't blame yourself for feeling so distressed about the idea of traveling, especially since you had no one else within the city to guide you. But gazing at the sea of lights that stretched out before you made you realize that you have been missing much of what the city has to offer. Looking further ahead, you take notice of a tall tower decorated with bright neon pink lights. A little bit to its right is a movie theater next to a mall. The rows of other buildings with multicolored lights seemed endless. The more you scan the area, the more you see unfamiliar places that you didn't know existed. Your moment of silence while admiring the city view was interrupted by the sound of rustling grass. You turn around, finding the source of the sound. Crowe has made himself comfortable lying on the ground under an old tree. You see his backpack leaning on its trunk. You turn your back from the city and walk to where Crowe laid, deciding to keep him company. His gaze on the starry sky shifts to you as you lay down beside him, and a beautiful, hopeful smile grows on his face. Judging from your face all lighting up, you like this place, huh? Care to join me? Accepting his invitation, you give Crowe a slight nod that brought joy to his eyes. You stretch a bit and lay on your back right next to him, your fingers barely touching. You and Crowe look at the night sky. You observe how the stars twinkle, as if the rain from this morning never happened. How did you manage to find this place? You tilt your head to look at him, and he gives you a half-closed chuckle before his twinkling gaze meets yours. I take it you've never heard of Lily Smith, then, have you, Lion? Lily Smith? Crowe points up at the old tree that stood above you, then returns his gaze to the stars. They say that this tree that the humans came in contact with was blessed by the gods that guard this land. This very same tree here used to bear multiple fruits. They say that they never rot and are free for anyone to take. Or so what the popular interpretation says anyway. There are other versions of the myth? Crowe shrugs his shoulders. Moving his gaze from the sky back to the tree, he stares at it, as if trying to decipher something just by the mere look of it. There are other versions, yeah. Some say the fruits are actually poisonous, Others say it's only meant for the gods and no human must take from it, lest they be cursed. That sounds quite gruesome. Also, a little bit of foreshadowing, perhaps. It's no wonder they would rather use the lighter version of the myth. Crowe lets out a low chuckle at your statement, nodding a bit, as if agreeing with you. I guess that might be one of the reasons. Hey, Lion. He paused before speaking again. You perk an eyebrow at him. Yeah? This seems like a silly question. No. Lay it on me. Tell me what it is. Do you believe in gods? This question caught you by surprise. You never thought of Crowe as the religious type. More so be interested in gods, or maybe he's just curious by the idea of them. This may be the best moment to know for sure. Yeah, I do. I do. They are the very beings that blessed our lands and soil. That's not what I'm going for, but okay. Back in my hometown, we will go to worship in our village's patron goddess's church and pray for a good harvest. You recall your visits to the village temple with your father. Being regulars, you visited enough to the point where you became friends with some of those who resided within the church. Every time you dropped by to worship, you and your father would offer your healthiest crops to thank your patron. You haven't gone to church in a while? Probably because the city doesn't have a church for your patron deity. Your goddess had more followers near your village, all the way to the south. Crowe gives a nod of understanding. How about you? Do you believe in gods? You turn to Crowe, repeating the same question he asked you earlier. He scans your face, your eyes, your nose, then your lips. My lips will not lead you to some kind of divine knowledge, okay? But back to the subject matter, also I would love to kiss you. His lingering gaze made you shrink back, your heart fluttering slightly. Crowe seems to realize something to himself as he returns his attention to the stars above, sighing. I don't. This surprises you, and Crowe laughs at your visible shock and confusion. What? You didn't think I'd be a non-believer? If I have to be honest, no. Why so? You kind of dress like a priest. Crowe's azure eyes grew wide as he broke out into one of the loudest laughs you've ever heard from him. He laughed so hard that he had to clench his stomach and wipe at the tear-stained corner of his eyes. He was still chuckling when he unbuttons the first two studs of his black polo, revealing more of his collarbone to you. Don't tempt me right now! You know I would! You quickly avert your eyes, finding the tree's leaves to be very interesting at the moment as you feel a familiar heat rush to your cheeks. How's that? Less formal? For God's sake, Ichabod! Ichabod? Feels like I'm seeing a Victorian woman's ankles for the first time! Crowe grins at your reaction. It took the both of you a few more seconds of going back and forth with his teasing, and you reprimanding him before you finally calmed down. The next few moments was spent with you pointing out the stars, and Crowe teaching you the constellations with a gentle whisper-like voice. You both fell silent, basking in the peace of the night. As the silence prolonged, Crowe fell deep in thought. About today, Lion? And about the guys. So we're moving to this conversation next, huh? Gotta be honest. Daryl put me up on this little hangout while I was feeling down on the dumps. I think I do have to thank him for forcing me and actually gave me the courage to talk to you after class. He lets out a breath he didn't know he was holding, refusing to meet your eyes. I just, don't know if I upsetted you by suddenly dragging you into this group. I probably should have told you about them a long time ago, huh? I'm sorry, Lion. You bit your lip. You suspected that you might have upset Crowe by making him think that you didn't like the group's presence at all, and that he's forcing you to bend to his will. One thing to know about Crowe is that he is never the type to demand, to control, to be a king, to be a tyrant. You didn't do anything wrong, Crowe. In fact, I should be the one to apologize. You speak up without thinking. Crowe turns his head to look at you, his gaze swirling with confusion at your apology. I'm sorry for making you feel bad. I didn't mean to be upset. You swallow a lump in your throat, trying your best to hold the tears that were threatening to spill. I just thought that you'd forget about me after... They're amazing people. Brittany's pretty, Daryl's a fun guy, Gio's so cool, and Jess is loyal. They're a great group. And most importantly, you're amazing, Crowe. You're all amazing. I'm just not sure if I could ever be part of the group. You were always hidden in the shadows. No matter how much you tried to fit in, you were never to be considered. People treated you like someone to toss away, someone to use. You are worth nothing but an extra. That's all she's always told you. You couldn't hold it back anymore. A sob escapes your lips, your vision slowly blurring as you feel wet droplets of tears finally sliding down your cheek from your eyes. For a moment you saw panic in Crowe's expression, seemingly not expecting you to burst into tears. He reaches out to hold your hand. And suddenly, you feel a pair of arms circling around you as he pulls you closer to him, letting you sob on his shoulder. He says nothing while rubbing a hand along your back, allowing you to cry, not caring about his clothes getting wet from your tears. Once you calm down, Crowe rests his hand on your back, not letting you out of his embrace. You're amazing, Lion. I'm sorry I never got to tell you that. No matter how many times I thought of it, I just couldn't seem to find the words. But you're amazing in your own way. You may not know it, but you're beautiful, you're funny, you're quite a phenomena. You can feel vibrations coming from his chest, from the chuckle he emits. Heck, you're the funniest person I know. All I'm saying, Lion, is that you're amazing. You have no idea how much tears you've shed tonight. Sometimes you think it's silly and childish to cry over what was possibly a trivial matter to some, but the urge to sob returned after hearing those words from him. Do you want me to call you the amazing Spider-Man just to prove that you're amazing? That made you giggle a bit as you wipe your tear-stained cheeks. With whatever amazing strength you could muster, you slowly pulled away and lifted yourself up. Why am I on top of him? You sit yourself up, hovering over Crowe. And there, you see the very same man that made you cry by literally doing nothing. His braid came loose. You didn't know when, but his hair pulled around his head. Crowe stares at you with serene eyes, remaining silent as a gentle smile plastered on his face. There was nothing but the moon illuminating his tender features, yet to your vision, he seems to glow. He is absolutely beautiful. Oh, how you wish you could blame everything on him. If you could, you'd tell him that he's the reason for all the unnecessary feelings swelling in your chest. You'd tell him exactly how good and bad it all feels, the heartache, the butterflies fluttering about in your stomach. You want to blame him, but you can't. Keith. You have no idea where you got the guts to do the things you did next, but the feeling of his lips pressed on yours made the butterflies rattle in your stomach, threatening to burst out of their cage. Your heart beats fast, like you've just run a marathon as you feel the heat rush to your cheeks. Crowe freezes against you, and for a moment there, you thought you just made a huge mistake. You are prepared to pull away and apologize, but he makes a move you did not expect. The gentle grip that Crowe had on the small of your back slithers its way to the back of your head, fingers intertwined with your hair as he presses you closer to him, returning your kiss with a fervent sense of desperation. His other hand holds your waist in a tight embrace, not wanting to let you go. Out of your own surprise, you break the kiss by pulling away slightly. Crowe chases after you, leaning in close to capture your lips in a deeper and more passionate manner than before. You feel like putty in his embrace as he cups your cheek with one hand, his lips needily asking for more access to yours. In response, you close your eyes tight, and your arms come to wrap around his shoulders, granting his desire by tilting your head against his. The both of you losing all sense of the world as you fell deep into the sensation of your lips against each other. He eventually pulls away, a string of saliva connecting your lips to his own. His breaths are heavy, matching yours, and you beheld his red face and hair messier than before. He tucks away a stray strand of hair behind your ear before rubbing your cheek with his thumb. Crowe scans your disheveled figure above him. You can see the way his eyes dilute the longer he keeps his gaze on your face. I knew we were going stargazing tonight, but didn't expect the brightest star to be right in front of me. You giggle at his cheesy pickup line. God, I like you, Lion. I liked you the first time I laid my eyes upon you. I couldn't tell you because I was scared that I might lose whatever we have at the moment, that I would lose you. I couldn't bear to live a life without you. Crowe, I like you too. I've liked you ever since too. You chuckle at the silly thoughts you recall, the way you've been doubting your feelings, his feelings. His eyes grow wide, jaw falling slack as he tries to comprehend the words that came out of your lips. He blinks once, twice, before a smile as bright as the stars above appears on his face. Is this a dream? I hope not. If I'm in a dream, please, tell the sleeping me to never wake up. I want to live in this dream forever. Will this convince you it's not a dream? You lean close to his face and place a peck on his cheek. Maybe, but I think this would definitely convince me. He captures your lips swiftly, distracting you when he moves in to bury his face in the crook of your neck to nibble at the soft flesh. You gasp. Now, people will know. You're mine. Hey now! Crowe laughs out heartily at your reaction and you simply roll your eyes. You couldn't stay mad at him. He dusts off the grass that sticks to his shirt before giving you a once-over and gently swatting away the leaves on your hair and clothes. You get up and Crowe retrieves his bag, almost forgotten by the tree. He looks back at you and takes your hand silently. It was time to go. It was time to leave this magical place. You look at the stars, at how brightly they shone. You gave the sky one last glance before turning away, hand clasped tightly around Crowe's as you let him lead you home. An idea popped inside of Crowe's head, and a sly smirk makes its way to his face. He suddenly pulls your elbow, earning a small yelp from you. You were about to ask what was wrong, but your words fell short as you feel yourself being lifted from the ground. With one swift movement, Crowe traps you against the tree, holding up one of your legs around his waist. He presses himself against you, and you feel the bulge within the confinements of his pants, earning a wild blush from you. Hey! Hey! No! No! Crowe! No! No! Crowe rubs his cheek against yours before placing a light peck on it. You did great, Lion, he says, patting down your disheveled hair. You did the same for him. Also, yeah, let's just say that Crowe's knees got very dirty, okay? Let's just leave it at that. A link to the scene is in the Patreon, by the way. You can see it there. Anyway, time for us to head home. Crowe walks you to your apartment, noting that he kept you out late at night. You bid Crowe goodnight after he safely sees you inside, and he gives you away before turning on his heels and making his way down the stairs. You close your apartment door and lean on it, heaving a puff of air. You recall the conversation you had with Crowe while you walked with him on the street leading to your home. I'm going to give the guys a chance. I think I judged them too quickly. So I want to do better. I want to get to know them better. If you trust them, then I trust them too. Crowe's expression was of surprise at your declaration, as your determined face reflected in his orbs. Crowe chuckles at your enthusiasm, giving you a friendly pat on the head. I'm glad you're giving them a chance, Lion. I'm sure they will feel the same. You engaged in other conversations with Crowe during your walk, the topics not really being of any importance as you have forgotten them by now, save for his gentle voice and the occasional fond glances he stole at you. Time with Crowe seemed to pass by so quickly. You arrived at your apartment complex before you knew it. You make your way to the living room and you throw your bag to a random corner, immediately plopping down on your sofa as you turn on the small television. Nothing interesting is going on, save for some food commercials and movie trailers. The pizza looks good. Maybe I should order something. Reaching to your pockets and taking out your phone, you were about to dial the number on the television when a new notification bubble popped on your notification bar. It's from a group chat you'd never seen before. Yeah, after scrutinizing it, you realize it was Crowe who added you in. It was a group chat with the rest of his friends. You open it. Okay. Anyone want to go to the Halloween party this Friday? It's gonna be awesome. Aren't we all a bit too old for costume parties? Is it required? You two are no fun at all. I won't go if it's not a school requirement. Much less a waste of my time. Is it? No, it isn't. But it'll be a great and fun experience for all of us. I mean, we should loosen up a bit, you know? I agree with Crowe. Count me in. Pass. I've got more important things to do than that party. Now, will you excuse me? I'll be doing my leftover task for tonight. Gio has gone offline. Sheesh. Stick in the mud as usual. How about you, Lion? Me? You joining? It'll be fun. You were honestly surprised they somehow remembered you. Checking your calendar through your phone, you didn't seem to have any plans in the near future. Or plans at all. You like to just spend your time in your apartment alone. I mean, sure. That's great to hear. Okay. Crowe seems happy about it. You giggled. This also reminds you of something. Or rather, someone. Opening another chat, you tapped in Soul's newly added contact and sent him a message by sending the image of the same poster Daryl sent. Yoink! A Halloween party? Hosted by the school? Yeah! I'm not really into parties. Oh. Well, that's alright. Just asking, that's all. Wait. If you're coming, then, I'm coming as well. Really? Really. Do you plan on dressing up? I don't know. Are you? I mean, it's a costume party, so why not? I'll try to think of something then. Okay, nice. You swear you can feel the smile behind those words. With a quick word of goodbye, you set your phone down when you heard your doorbell. That must be the food delivery. This fast? Afterwards, you ate your dinner and prepared yourself for bed. You thought about the events that happened today, meeting the group, meeting Saul, and most especially your little hangout with Crowe. Each and every moment is a special occasion on its own. Letting out a big yawn as you stretched your body. You turn to your laundry, slowly piling up, and scratch your head. I'll probably do laundry tomorrow. But for now, you plop yourself down on the soft cushions of your bed, getting into a comfortable position and slowly dozing off as you close your eyes, embracing sleep as the night goes. And this maiden, she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me, the one who loves. I was a child, she was a child, in this kingdom by the sea. Day 2, the kingdom. The following day, the first thing you do is to look around for Crowe. However, when you try asking some students for his whereabouts, nobody seems to know where he went. You tried sending him a message to his phone, but you never received a single reply, much less having your messages be put on read. You eventually meet up with Brittany. She seems to be one of the few people closest to Crowe, so it was best to talk about him with her. Jericho? No, I haven't seen him. Do you know anyone else who might have an idea of where he is? Brittany pondered for a bit with a manicured fingernail on her chin before shaking her head. No. 40 asked the rest of the guys. Heck, even Gio doesn't know where he is, and that guy's close to the hip with him. But he said he's coming to school today. Don't tell me he ditched last minute. Ah, bullshit. He would always send me or anyone in the group a text whenever something came up. Heck, knowing the guy, he'd most probably send you a text first. You deflated. Brittany gives you a worried look, trying to think of something else that could possibly help you. Maybe you should try checking the counsel's office. Taking her advice, you thank her and proceed to leave the classroom she was in. You did as Brittany suggested, but much to your dismay and frustration, not a single one of the council knows where Crowe is. Classes eventually start, but you didn't attend. Too determined to know where Crowe could have possibly been, you rack your brains as you walk all over the school grounds. You were probably too angry to realize you made it all the way to the gardens, the place where you usually work. You scratch your head from frustration. Taking out your phone, you decide to give his number a ring. It was still dead silent. You decide to walk even deeper into the gardens. Until eventually, you meet with a familiar chain fence, indicating the school campus's borders, barricading you from the forest just beyond it. You rang Crowe's number one last time. Ring, ring! It rang a few more times before cutting off. You checked your phone, thinking that he somehow finally picked up, but was met with a disappointing notification that it was out of service. You try one last time. Hello? There's a faint ringing in the distance, but it's not within the gardens. It's coming from outside. Did he get himself lost? But how? As far as I know, this place is all boarded up. Putting your phone in your pockets, you look up and stare at the metal edges of the fence, shielding your eyes from the sunlight hitting your face. You bit your lips. You could climb up, but if you fall, you probably have a sprain if you're not careful enough. Without wasting any more time, you start climbing the chain fence, your fingers shaking from anxiety at the imposing height upon reaching the edge. Going over to the other side, you slowly make your way down, still keeping a tight hold on the fence. Whoa! God! That is, until you somehow manage to slip on your footing, causing you to fall down, back first. A groan escapes your lips, your back now aching from the sudden impact of the fall, make you lie there and wait for the pain to subside a little. You pat down your pockets, reaching for your phone inside. You feel your heart drop to your stomach as you hold it. My phone! I'm such a moron! You curse, seeing the visible crack on the screen of your mobile device. Turning it on, you vomit another string of colorful curses as your phone screen glitched heavily before eventually turning dark. Oh man, it's useless now. Shoving your broken phone back in your pocket, you slowly got up to your feet. You looked around. If Crowe was somewhere here, then you better start looking around. Hopefully you can try to remember your way back to campus grounds. Your heartbeat accelerates as you walk deeper into the forest. You've never been here. It was uncharted territory, so you didn't know what dangers lurked. You scan the area around you, the thicket seemingly getting thicker and harder to maneuver. You see nothing out of the ordinary, save for some overgrown bushes and vines crawling on the dirt floor. If these don't get tended to, someone will surely trip. You are about to give up on your search when you notice something in the corner of your eye. It's a familiar shade of Crowe's indigo vest, torn to pieces. You feel your heart drop. The air suddenly feels suffocating. Your legs wobble their way to the torn piece, hoping that was some sort of hallucination or some kind of sick coincidence. But no. This is exactly Crowe's vest, all torn and broken. You search around the area one last time, eyes keener than before, hoping that this might have been some kind of prank someone pulled on you, till your eyes land on a strange and broken down shed. Clenching the torn fabric close to your chest, you hastily make your way to the shed. Thoughts of Crowe invades your mind as you ignore all the warnings waving to your face. The moment you came face to face with the shed, your nose picked up on something bad. The smell of iron. The smell of blood. You rattle the wooden door open. It won't budge. Open up! You look around for something to pry the door open. An axe! Coincidentally, the lone axe was sticking on a tree trunk. Gathering your strength, you pried it off its hinges, nearly knocking yourself down with it. Dragging the heavy axe to the front door, you swing it open, breaking the wooden door piece by piece until a hole forms into it. The smell is now stronger than it was ever before, making you scrunch up your nose. With one last blow, the door falls, the shattered piece of wood now hanging by its hinges as you enter the room. You feel your soul leave your body. The strength from your legs disappear as you drop to your knees, the pool of blood staining your skin. The iron-smelling liquid's thick texture made you feel pure disgust as a shiver ran down your spine. No. No. Please! Please! God! This couldn't be happening. You want to rip your heart out of your chest. You want to burn this whole forest to ash. Before you lay Crowe's corpse. His head is barely attached to his shoulders, and you can clearly see the gaping injury left by something sharp on his neck. Blood drips from the deep cut, the red liquid pooling around his lifeless body. His eyes were left open, and you gaze at them, wishing, praying, hoping that his vibrant azure orbs would smile at you again. But no, his eyes, they remain dull, soulless. You mutter his name over and over and over, asking him to get up, to talk to you, to tell you what happened. But he didn't. You hear footsteps behind you, accompanied by the clanking of metal before something drops to the ground. You swiftly turn around, meeting the eyes of someone you never expected to be here. A pair of fiery red orbs grew wide like saucers as their owner beholds your slumped, blood-stained figure. His gaze reveals a mix of surprise, dread, and panic. Lion. No, you shouldn't be here. You need to leave. His pleas fell on deaf ears. Instead, you stare at the bloody hand axe that he dropped, his equally bloody hands, and his dark shirt, wet with red liquid. He reeks of blood. He killed him. He killed Crowe. You killed him. Didn't you, Soul? Soul bit his tongue, refusing to answer your question as he stays put. You can see the way his jaw clenches, his expression now filled with rage. He was going to take you away from me! I've only done something I wished I should have done years ago. So you're not even going to deny it. I would never lie to you, Lion. But why? Why did you do this? Because I love you, Lion. And I'm not letting that bastard take you away from me. You are mine, and mine alone. You were taken aback by his declaration of love towards you. It left a disgusting taste in your mouth. How dare he taint the word love? How dare he throw it around like it's an object? You monster! What? You lunge at him, aiming for his neck and pushing him down to the dirt ground. He claws at your hands, not expecting your sudden strength as you unbuckle his choker, pulling on the straps and using it to choke him. You mean nothing to me! I don't even know you! You love me? I loved him! He was everything to me. He was my savior, my first love, my everything. What do you know about me? You must pay for what you've done. Soul couldn't master a single word as you kept pulling on the strap around his neck. Your vision fills with red as your desire to take revenge overwhelms you. The strength in his hands weaken as Soul loses air. And soon, you felt something sharp. Something painful. You looked down, expecting to see your successful revenge through your classmate's soulless face. But the light remains in his eyes. Instead, it is filled with horror. You cough. Blood seeps through your lips. You look further down and see a sharp blade through your chest. The object swiftly disappears after someone pulls it out of your body. Blood slowly gushes out of your wound. You feel someone push you down. A pair of hands moves your body. You couldn't care less as you stare at the dusty ceiling of the worn-out shed. Your vision slowly darkening. From the corner of your eye, you can make out the blurry figure of the man you've come to befriend the day before. A few droplets of something wet splatters on your cheek. He's crying. Lion, no, stay! Lion, stay with me! No, please, stay with me. Another figure enters your fading vision, and Soul takes notice of them. You recognize the blade in their grasp as they wipe it clean of your blood. Your killer. Soul gets into an argument with the guy, his muffled screams reprimanding them. You can barely hear the person's responses as they calmly speak with Soul. Keeping your eyes open is getting tiring. Breathing is getting tiring. With one last breath, you flutter your eyes closed. The last thing you see are these exact words. No witnesses. Bad end. No witnesses. Anyway, that's all the time I have for today's episode. Thank you all so much for watching. If you guys do want to play this for yourself, link to the game will be in the description below. I will be back tomorrow with another part of this where I'll actually be going down Soul's route, because I'm pretty sure I screwed that up pretty badly from the start. Like, holy hell. Maybe we should not have kissed Crowe. I'm not sure, but anyway. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you all have a lovely rest of the day. And as always, I'll be seeing you in the next video. This is Lion, signing off. Ciao.